everyone, I just wanted to make a short video to share my thoughts about Awakened Maegu. I find learning Awakened Maegu very fun at first, especially with zooming around with the mobility spells. Dashing between packs pretty quickly is very satisfying. However, after a while of playing it, the flow of attacks that you can do as a class started to feel quite frustrating, and that started to impact sort of my ability to learn more and the amount of fun I was having. I've prepared a short showcase of multiple different grind spots. I feel like I've reached maybe 80 to 90% potential that Awakened Maegu can get to. You can definitely get to numbers quite a bit higher than what I've done here, and if you extrapolate the performance based on that, the performance is actually quite good overall. The biggest problem is for me is that it just feels not really that satisfying to play in some circumstances. There's quite a lot of camera turning required, and the AoEs are quite unsatisfying to sort of like tackle some packs with. So it is quite exhausting to play. First up we have the classical Orcs. I think Awakened Maegu actually performs a little bit above average once you get reasonably good at it at Orcs. The biggest problem it has at Orcs is the AoEs of the class are a little bit too small to hit a lot of the awkward packs front to back, and when you're moving around with your mobility spells, you often end up in the middle of a pack like I did just here, and you have to do like a quick camera turn, and it can be quite exhausting after a long period of time. In terms of DPS options, most of the kit feels pretty good, other than the frontal cone range of some of the spells being a little bit low, like Shift L and B, Shift R and B. The main two spells that need improvement are Shift R and B, could be a little bit faster. It currently feels very bad to use because it's too slow, and similarly the E spell, Ember Claw Crush, could be a little bit bigger and faster, or do more damage. I basically never press it because it just feels very lackluster. The Fan Kick, S plus L and B, also feels pretty useless in PvE, but I think it's mainly used for PvP combos, so I don't think that's much of a problem. A little bit later on now with no weapon, packs like this one just here are quite problematic because of the AoEs, so it takes quite a long time to clear them. You even see me using some pre-awakened there. The damage on the pre-awakened spells is usually okay-ish with the buff up. Like, you'll usually still one-shot packs with spirit buff up, the Elvia spirit buff, but when you don't have the Elvia spirit buff, the damage of pre-awakened spells in general is pretty pathetic. I would really like to see them be doing a bit more damage so that you could actually weave them into some of these awkwardly laid out packs as like another option. Of course they shouldn't compete with awakened spells on DPS, but at the moment they don't feel like an option at all. This pack here is really frustrating that you can't hit the entire pack unless you're perfectly positioned with your frontal AoEs. Now we have a little bit of Fogans. Fogans is pretty similar to Orcs in terms of how the class performs. It's reasonably good. Fogans has an extra issue over and above the AoEs, which is when you have the Elvia Spirit buff, you start to run into stamina issues, because a lot of the time you have to use your spells that cost stamina, so R&B and side R&B, in order to clear these packs that are awkwardly laid out. But when you have to do that a lot of times in succession, like in a row, I don't mean succession, you end up unable to recover stamina for long periods of time if you want to keep up clearing the packs, and you just run out of stamina gradually over time. I imagine the same thing is a problem for early game spots on Awakened Maegu, so I imagine that Awakened Maegu has actually got stamina issues on the early game spots too. The usage of Soul Tier into other Foxler Ambush and your movement options between packs here is really quite satisfying sometimes though. If the AoEs could be fixed, then and made a little bit easier to hit these packs with, I think Awakened Maegu would actually be extremely fun to play at Fogans. Being able to dash that guy from that far away, and then that's just great. But you see me running out of stamina here, which is just, that's not great. One thing that would be cool is if WF would regen stamina. So you could even increase stamina costs or have them be a little bit harsher than they are now. If WF restored stamina, then you would be forced to like use it as part of your movement combo. So it wouldn't need to be fast, because its purpose would be to be movement without any stamina costs. So like a little bit like how Zerkers use Lava Piercer. I think that's actually a cool design. It's just not very cool that Zerkers don't ever use any stamina to move around. So now we have a little bit of Kratuga. Awakened Maegu performs not as well as I would have liked at Kratuga. I was imagining that a high mobility class like Maegu would be very quick at this. However, it has a couple of problems, which is that on some packs you can't hit the entire pack with your AoEs. There's a couple of packs that are quite awkward to hit most of. I think part of that is down to skill issue, obviously, but it does feel like sometimes there isn't really an option. Also, the interesting mobility spells, Hazy Path and Foxfire Ambush. Sometimes packs of monsters at Kratuga are sleeping and untargetable. I'm not sure if they're always like that, or if it's only sometimes, or if there's a way to avoid it. But that means that you can't use one of the what feels like core strengths of Awakened Maegu, which is the instant movement from those two spells. So it feels like you get a little bit scammed because they're sleeping. It certainly isn't going to reach Awakened Nova, and that's what I was hoping for. I'm a little bit delusional for hoping that anything will ever reach Awakened Nova at this place. Why is this pack sleeping? And this pack also sleeping. These guys are normally not sleeping. I'm not sure why they were here. I just don't understand it yet. To summarize, I feel like Awakened Maegu is probably average, or well, not average, but above average, not top tier at Kratuga. I definitely don't feel like I'll be catching up to Suck Maegu anytime soon, never mind Awakened Nova. Here we have a little bit of Jade Starlight gameplay. Of the spots that I tried, this is the one that Awakened Maegu performed at the best. The mobility is quite good for getting between packs here, if you get really good at doing the dashes to the totems. Like I did just on the way to this pack, you can actually get between packs almost instantly. Single target DPS is pretty good, and the packs like this one are mostly stacked up, so AoE is not much of a problem, unless the lamp keepers, those middle-sized guys, sometimes they like to troll and jump in different directions. As I said it, as they're doing right now. Luckily that one at the back died there. But performs pretty good in Jade Starlight. Spots like this where the packs are quite tanky, the higher DPS from Awakened Maegu is actually quite good. Sometimes when you do a Hazy Path or a Foxfire Ambush, you end up in the air in the falling animation, and it's extremely annoying. Please fix this somehow. Here we have another occurrence of the I just dashed and then I'm falling from the air. Here we have it again, the I've just dashed and I now would like to fall from the air. Please fix. Overall, this class is actually pretty well designed and flows reasonably well. If the AoE problems are fixed and you can get to a situation where you don't need to do as much camera turning, the class is actually, I think, going to be one of the higher performers. The biggest problem that it has in PvE is for the niche that it fills, where it's like a quick, high DPS, bursty assassin. It's competing with Awakened Nova, and just there isn't a class in the game that can compete with Awakened Nova. So if you're going to put a lot of effort into a class that's difficult to master, there's not really any reason to pick it over Awakened Nova unless you just really like the design of the class.